Yeah, I got the guy who's gonna it's gonna be a monster deal, and I think it's Chris Godwin going to the New England Patriots. This makes sense on every level for everyone involved. Chris Godwin can get paid stupid amounts of money because New England has $127 million in cap space.
He's
Like
also like the
throwing
clear wide receiver one of this class now that if T. Higgins does go to
right,
back to Cincy.
right. So, and I still thought he was the wide receiver one in this class, regardless. Like come at me if you want, but this man was on his pace for a triple crown in the NFC before he got hurt. So Chris Godwin has done it. He's proven to be a number one wide receiver in the NFL. Drake May needs a number one guy. And
Yeah.
frankly, I think Chris Godwin should look at New England and say, you know what? They'll probably pay him a little bit more than he's even worth just because they have the money to throw around and put talent around Drake May. I like Godwin landing in New England. It fits everyone's need. You need to build around Drake May. I'll say this: if the Patriots don't do this, if the Patriots don't land Chris Godwin or T. Higgins, they have failed Drake May, and they might as well abandon ship because they are going to ruin his development. He needs a guy who can get open. So I think that's Chris Godwin. I don't think that's the only move New England needs to make, but that's the number one move New England needs to make.
Yeah, my guy Andrew Erickson put out on Twitter earlier today, like, do you think Drake 1 will be a fantasy football QB1 in 2025? And I was shocked at the results that like most people were like, no, absolutely not. It was like 70-30 to people who, you know, I was in the very small minority of people who thought he would be a quarterback one. And if he can get a guy like Chris Godwin, Eric, I mean, I'm already drafting Drake May in all my underdog best balls that I can get him right now at his current price tag as a quarterback too. And I mean, I'd be all over if Godwin was in town.
Yeah, I would as well. The question of whether or not he can be a QB1 is kind of misleading, right? Because there are probably 15 quarterbacks that are in arguably better situations than Drake May, and we haven't seen him do it yet, right? So that's going to drag down. That's going to drag down those poll results.
He was on a QB1 pace last year, though, brother.
Yeah, that's the thing. We haven't seen him do it over the course of an entire season, right? So like my point is that's going to drag down those poll results when if it was reframed as, you know, who has the highest upside among these three or four QB2 guys, Drake May would run away with it, right? So it's, you know, I wouldn't take that as super clear market signal, but I'm right there with you, right? You know, even without Chris Godwin, I love speculating in the Drake May markets, especially in best ball. He's got an absolute hose. He can do a bit with his legs. He'll be in his second season getting more and more comfortable with the NFL level. But yeah, if nothing else, and this was my immediate response to T. Higgins getting the franchise tag, Chris Godwin is about to back up the Brinks truck wherever he wants to play. I think New England makes a ton of sense, right? You look at his game logs. He was obviously, you know, on pace to set the world on fire running out of the slot last year. But he's also got top 15, top 10, you know, top 2 fantasy point per game seasons out there when he was running on the perimeter way more often. So that type of versatility, that type of skill set for a young quarterback is monumental. They obviously have the room. Like they have to go out there and get him.
Bring him home to the Keystone State, baby. Let's go. Let's go. We need you. We need you out in the bird, Godwin. Come on.
With what money?
Not even a head shake from, hey,
I don't want him in Pittsburgh. Who's throwing him the
money?
ball? It's just not there.
We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Don't you worry about it.